Hello guys, today I want to show you the most important feature of X10 and the feature that many people ask me about is how to run OpenTX firmware on X10 unit. How does it look like, how does it work, and how it compares to other radios working with OpenTX. And of course, not only that, today I want to talk a little bit about the questions that were raised on FrSKY forum about charger, about batteries, and about power consumption. As you can see, I've got here my 3 units. It's Horus X10, QX7 and brand new X10. And here I have my voltmeter that I would use to check power consumption, and I have my King Kong 90 GT module with a FrSKY RXSR or MXSR receiver. I don't remember, MXSR I think. So which I have already binded to X10 and OpenTX to check whether everything is okay. So let's get back to OpenTX firmware on first run on X10 radio. First of all, there is a good manual on FrSKY website about how to install OpenTX firmware on to X12S Horus radio. So the same manual applies for Horus X10S and X10 radios as well. So you just can take this manual and flash OpenTX to this radio. Of course, I've taken the latest OpenTX 2.2.1 nightly 383 release, and also Kira gave me a link to latest SD card contents, which is 0.011 as I remember. I would place all the links to all the manuals, firmware and SD card contents to the description of this video. After I didn't have any troubles of installing OpenTX to this radio, so I just went through the manual, did everything as stated, and everything works okay. But to mention the difference between the proprietary FrTX OS and OpenTX OS, is the main difference is how it works. Those two firmwares work with SD card contents and other drives. Proprietary FrTX OS uses inbuilt a small flash drive that has all the necessary system files, music folders and so forth. SD card is just used as the supplementary space to add your own files if you want. In case of OpenTX, everything is placed on the external SD card and internal flash memory is not used anyway. So first of all, before flashing from FrTX to OpenTX, it is better to follow the manual and to back up all the contents of internal flash drive and FrTX SD card contents to your computer or to another SD card, and prepare a new SD card with OpenTX contents to flash the OpenTX firmware. Moreover, in contrary to X9D Plus radio or QX7 radio, we would have to flash OpenTX in DFU mode. It's not like we got used to like flashing from SD card or in OpenTX companion using mass storage device option connectivity and then flashing the firmware. No, it's when you switch the unit off, you connect it to USB, it's being registered and recognized as DFU device, I mean device in DFU mode. And then you can flash OpenTX firmware from OpenTX companion. Of course, you would have to set up the profile right for this radio. Okay, so enough about that, because everything is stated in the manual. You can use it, you can read it, and you can go through all the steps and everything will be okay. Now let's get back to the OpenTX first run on Horus X10, and I want to show you how it looks like and explain how it works for those who never seen OpenTX versions for color screens of this type and this size. For of course, those people who used X12S before, they're already familiar with current 2.2 OpenTX running on such devices. Okay, let's switch it on and see what happens.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Okay, the first thing that we heard is the regular hello sound and seeing the regular OpenTX flash screen. Now I have a warning that it is running a nightly build and it's not safe to fly.
Engine
Pressing
disabled.
enter.
KDS Kylan 250. Acro mode.
So I pressed enter and heard several sounds which are set up from our model. It's model name, flight mode that we are in, and that my engines are now disabled. And here we are on the main screen of OpenTX for X10 and X12S radios. So what we can see here is how the information is situated on the main screen. I want to mention that in contrary to X9D Plus or QX7 radio or other radios running earlier OpenTX versions or from monochromatic screens, here we can almost totally redesign and recustomize our main screen. I would show you later how it works, but I've placed my model with a picture to this side, timer 1 and persistent timer 2 to this side, and on the top of the screen I have my telemetry values. The only telemetry that I'm getting from this model, it's King Kong 90 GT, is only RSSI value, lowest RSSI value, RX voltage, and I also placed here my radio battery voltage because I prefer to see it like that, not like a small icon. Also, what we've got here is the position of our sliders, left, right, our pots, and our 6 position switch here. And also we got some icons. It's for volume icon. You can see that it changes when I actually change volume. We have here our battery, radio battery icon. We've got here some kind of representation of RSSI values, strength of radio link between your radio and your model, and also time and date. Also, I want to mention that top bar color and background color is actually customizable. I set it to reflect the amber scheme of my radio, and it looks like a bit brown, but you can change that. So I want to follow in some kind of logical way throughout the UI of OpenTX of this version, and I'll be using these controls. So we have a rotary dial on the right with enter at center, And we also have a dedicated system model telemetry return buttons here on the right, on the left, sorry, and page up, page down button in the center. Short press on either of these buttons don't do anything while you are staying on the main screen. But long press on system and you get to the regular system settings menu as we got used in other radios. So here we, how it is actually looks like. It's like you have all settings like that which are scrollable with a rotary dial. And you also have different tabs on the top of the screen. Pressing page up moves us through tabs, and long press to page down, it's moving back one tab. So very easy and very comfortable. Here we have usual regular system settings like date, time, sound, volume, vario, alarms, backlight, and so forth. Next tab is SD card contents, global functions, which I actually set something here. It's, for example, I set the volume to be controlled with S1 pot. Next one is trainer. Next one is where you define which switches have 3 position, 2 position. You can call them, you can name them actually. You can change how pods are using, are you using dense or not. And here also we've got battery calibration value. Next tab is just to represent the version of OpenTX release, and I'm running N389 version of OpenTX 2.2.1. Okay, this was the system settings, model settings. Long press on model to go inside the model settings, and again here on the top bar we have different tabs which we can scroll through with page up, page down buttons. And this is the regular model settings menu as we have in other radios, with the same settings, almost exactly the same settings. First one is for name, image, timers, trims, pre-flight checks, and internal external RF modules. Here I want to mention that I set my internal RF to D16 mode to be used with this model, and I've set it also to use up to channel 8 to get the lowest latency of 9 milliseconds. And also here we have this option that is common for X10, X10S and X12S. It's whether to use only internal or internal and external antennas simultaneously. When you select internal and external simultaneously, it would ask you to attach the external antenna, not to burn down your module. And I actually don't know whether everything is working the same as it worked in X12S. In X12S we had only one internal antenna, one external antenna, and when you choose the both antenna mode, it would use both antennas simultaneously. Here we have 3 antennas, 2 internal, 1 external, and probably when you choose both, I mean simultaneous mode, it would use all 3 antennas, but I have to get this answer from OpenTX team. Next tab is heli setup, flight modes, inputs, mixtures. I want to mention that I took all of my models that are now here in this radio from X9D Plus and just moved to this radio using OpenTX companion software. And everything went fine, all models are set up, nothing had changed. I've gone through all the models and everything looks fine. So my mixtures are set up right, for example, like all controls, all modes, and so forth. So I have, for example, my SC.
Race mode, normal mode, race mode, acro mode, normal mode, race mode, acro mode.
Changes flying mode. Next screen is outputs. I brought it in accordance to the flight controller of this module. It's the limits, endpoints and substreams, curves, global variables, logical switches, of course. Here I have my timer trigger set up so that it only triggers when throttle button is more than 90%, minus 90%, and engine on switch is switched on.
Engine disabled.
Then I have special functions with all the sounds bind to different switches and everything works okay. Custom scripts. Don't ask me about scripts yet because I never tried to run Lua scripts on X12S or X10S yet. All of my previous
2 minutes.
scripts, sorry, I will reset timer. All of my previous scripts that I written for X90 plus QX7 are, I don't think that they would run here. So I would have to read more about how to run scripts, how to edit it so that it would be working. And the last tab is Telemetry Setup. Here we have FrSKY setup, and you can discover sensor from the model. The only sensors I already told you from this model is RSSI value and Rex battery value. Okay, let's go back to the main screen. Telemetry. What we have here in QX7 or X90 Plus, we got used to going straight to telemetry values when we press this button, but here we are forwarded to another menu which is called UI setup. Here we have 3 tabs which actually let you choose a theme. I use default theme. You can change background color and main color. So by changing this RGB values, you can change top bar color and other colors. And you also can, by pressing this setup, you can also go to setting up all these top bar widgets, as OpenTX call it. Again, on the main screen, this part, the main part, can be divided into different areas, and in which you can be able to place any widget you want. And in the top bar also you have 4 slots, which you can also assign to different widgets. So for example, let's assign something like to our top bar widget. I choose the widget on the left side. Here we can select widget, model BMP, text, gauge, timer, battery check, value or output. For example, value, I choose RSSI again, RSSI. You can change color of this value in the top bar, and you can apply shadow to it. And here it is, we have RSSI value at top. Then, so you can just assign widgets like that to the top bar from this menu and the first tab. Second tab represents how would you change the main layout. So you can have one area, you can have right area big and left areas divided into 2. You can have many areas, or you can have 4 similar areas, and all areas can have one widget at this place. So when you select the type of main screen, I have selected this type when you have right part with large widget and left part with 2 widgets. You can set up widgets. So you can choose which area, you can press enter on that and select widgets for that area. So you just change something. Okay. Return. Also, there are options to show the top bar, flight mode, slider, streams, or you can just unselect everything of that just to not to waste space on screen. And you can create your custom views, for example, that you would select to different models and later. So, but now I have a screen like that. I like it very much, where you can see all this information and actually locate it in this way. This was a telemetry. The next option they want to show you is how enter button works here on the main screen. Let's press enter button. What we can see here is model selection, monitors, reset, statistics, and about. Model select will direct us to model selection screen, where you can press enter again on the model and do the following options as you can see here. Create model, duplicate model, move model, create category, rename category. It also gives you some kind of state of memory, like how much of SD card is used, how many models you have, which file contains these models. And I have King Kong 90 GT2 chosen. It's shown with the small mark that it is actually used right now. Going back. Another screen is monitors. Very interesting screen. You can access it not only by pressing enter and going to monitors, but you also can go to model and press model again. You would also reach this screen. So monitors, we have different tabs in monitors here. First tab is channel monitors 1 to 8. Second is 9 to 16, 17 to 24, 25 to 32, and then we have logical switch monitor. Good information, it was always present in OpenTX and it's very handy. Reset. Reset is just another option to reset flight, timer 1, timer 2, timer 3, and reset telemetry values. Statistics. Another new screen that is very good in this firmware is different statistics about radio or model use. So on the first tab we have session, battery, throttle percentage, timers, and kind of graphical representation of different things. Here we have, on the next type is debug information, how much of memory is used and so forth. I don't know whether this screen would stay, but I hope so. And last tab shows us analog inputs, so it represents how sticks are working. Okay, getting back. We've gone through all of UI and I hope that I showed you how OpenTX works and looks like on X10 Horus radio, and I hope that you now understand how the big screen is incorporated in OpenTX. Let's move to other things like checking current or of this radio and talking about batteries. But now I would like to show you what happens when I connect this model and that this model works actually. So I'm attaching battery to my model and see what happened. All of our top bar telemetry values change its color to white and they become bigger or wider maybe or bold. So I can clearly see now what RSSI, current RSSI value, minimum RSSI value that I have, receiver battery voltage from this model, and so forth. So when I switch on my engine on, everything works. You can see in here that our timer is running, our persistent timer is also running. Telemetry RSSI value changes when I move copter around, and everything seems to be pretty well, so I don't see any problems here. Okay, let's move along to other things. Switching off.
Telemetry lost.
Telemetry lost warning as always. Resetting
Reset.
timers. Switching it off. The thing that I want to talk about today is about the charger, my batteries, and protection circuits. So first of all, as you can see, I'm using a dump 18650 Li-ion cells with no protection whatsoever. FrSKY uses the same dump batteries, but they actually included some kind of thermal controller inside the cell packs, and this thermal controller is actually sending its temperature over a middle 2S cable to a FrXTen charger. So a FrXTen charger has a chip that does everything like over voltage, over discharge, overcharge, and temperature protection. In my case, I've got my radio without the battery, so I just took a dumb batteries and placed it here. I'm not using the middle cable. I just connected like that with no middle cable, and that's it. So my dumb battery is just 18650 2.6 amperes batteries work with this charger. Charges batteries and stops charges them when they are fully charged, and I don't experience any problems like that. I thought of installing here, adding here some kind of protection circuit like that. This is the protection circuit for Li-ion cells, which is like voltage cutoff, over discharge, overcharge protection, so forth. But I think that I would not use that because everything works, and I would rather be somewhere close to the radio when it charges, because it only takes 1.5 hours to fully charge it, instead of installing another circuit inside. So I'm just throwing it away and would use this setup for now. About the compartment, you can see that compartment is actually big, as already mentioned on the RCG thread, but you have two cells of Li-ion type holders like that. So you have two holders here, two holders here, you have one like standoff here, two standoffs actually, and you can two standoffs here. So the batteries are kept at place by all these holders. So even if you want to take some kind of bigger battery of different type and place it here, you would have to remove all these holders to use all this space in this battery tray. So it's actually designed to use only 2S Li-ion cells, maybe with higher capacity, but still for 2S Li-ion. Okay, so this is it for now. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I would be updating my review, text review I mean, and I would be making more videos about this radio soon. And thank you very much for now for watching. Bye.